Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Science, the art and science of watch collection. Today, we're going to take a look at Dave's collection, and it's a collection. I think you're going to be able to learn a lot from it. At least I did, in terms of someone who knows a great deal about watches, but isn't trying to get the most expensive watches, but rather the best watches in terms of all kinds of interesting aspects of it. And I really like this collection, and I think you will too. So let's take a look at David's collection. First of all, you have a Tag Heuer series quartz, and it's a quartz, so I'm not going to say much about it, but it's got a lot of stuff to it, and so it's one of their series of quartz. For what it is, it's a nice watch. Now, one I've come to like is Maurice Lacroix. Now, this one is the Pontos d'Centrique GMT. It it's one of the ones with have Maurice Lacroix have both their own movement as well as some other ones by other makers, ETA, Salida. This particular one has a Salida 200 in it with a Dubois Depraz module for your type of movement in it. The the watch itself is a very interesting GMT, I think. The on the lower right around 5 o'clock, you can see the sun. That's a night day indicator, and then right next to it at 6 o'clock, you can see the date window, and you have the two different uh, timekeeping with two dials, a larger and smaller subdial, and then it's a chronograph on top of it. You got a lot going with that one too. All right, moving right along. This next one is Omega Seamaster Aquaterra. Here you have a coaxial in the collection. That's one of the check boxes I should check off, and that is a coaxial. And I like the Seamaster a lot. Now this next one I really like a great deal. It's called a Holthen Rix Ornament One. Love the name of it. The dial on that thing is just a beautiful dial. It's very clean. Uh, it's you know I just like it. There's something about it. I like the case, the whole looks of it. Now here's the interesting thing about it is that it has Peizu ETA 7001, and that's one of those movements that I was introduced to early and was perhaps more upset over the fact that I wasn't told that was what's in it. But I've come to really appreciate it as a very cool movement. Okay, moving right along here, we've got the next two. One is Arnold and Son, HMS1. Arnold and Son is another one of those watch companies that I'm coming to appreciate more and more. And the interesting thing, it's what they have. It's considered British, but then at the bottom it says Swiss made. Not sure about that. And it's a very interesting. The watches I think are really fascinating, and it's an interesting one. I mean, in there, I like the looks of Arnold and Son. I like the innovations and the different complications they put into it. And I like that color combination. So those two shades of one sort of a dark chocolate and the other one is a lighter one and with the gold. Looks great. Grand Seiko. Now this is a Grand Seiko that's not a spring drive, which means it's not quartz, which I like. And it's a GMT, and there's the number on it that Seiko owners all seem to know better than I, SBG in 005. And it's just very much of a straight up GMT, and it looks like a great travel watch. That's what I would use it for, something like that with dual cam. Now these two I really like. The Eternomatic 3007 day. That watch it's got everything I like. It's a hand wound 7 day. It has the day date over at 3 o'clock, and it has like a the loom on the hands is sort of a depression glass green. That's what I would call it. Interesting looking watch. To the right is a Jaeger-LeCoultre memo box. This is one of the older ones. I think, and I could be wrong about this, but on the memo box they came out with some early ones and they stopped it for a while and then they brought it back again. I could be wrong about that. Either that or maybe I wasn't paying attention when they had it, but it seemed like, oh, did they bring those things back? This is it's sort of a classic Jaeger-LeCoultre type of watch. Now, this next two, the Universal Geneve pole router, this was considered an original Gerald Genta design. Now, I've always liked the pole router just because I like the name and the going over the poles, flying over the poles and sort of celebrating that. It also has a micro rotor. There's a lot of interesting stuff about this Universal Geneve. This particular one, things I didn't know. I didn't realize it was a Genta design. Probably somewhere that I came across it, and I vaguely remember, but boy, I tell you, this one certainly is. Has an unusual dial. It looks like a very almost gray moonscape type of dial to it. Now, next to it is another one that's very interesting, is Berthold Geneve. Now, Berthold worked with Universal Geneve, and it has the movement in the Berthold Geneve is a Universal Geneve 385 caliber. These are both from Geneva, where David is from, so it's sort of a homeboy watch for him. I like both of these. These are just fascinating watches that David has. Now, in addition to some very interesting wristwatches, he also has a couple of fascinating pocket watches. And I like pocket watches for more reason than one. Primarily, I like to use pocket watch movements. This is a clone of a 6497 ETA. Unitas, which was originally put into pocket watches. And this one is a classic looking one. I love the looks of that. It's called a GSTP. Up in the upper right up there, I put in the movement. The movement's just gorgeous. It looks like they frosted it, which is I've always associated with German watchmaking, but here you have this, it looks like a gold frosting on it rather than a plate or something like that, which is similar but different. Now, this other one is Thomas Russell and Son from Liverpool. Again, they have Swiss made on it. All of these watches have Swiss made, even though they're identified with English. And this Thomas Russell and Son Liverpool is very much that. What a gorgeous movement. It's the quarter repeater. And I put in a little hunk of the movement up in the upper right corner there. The finishing on that movement is just fantastic. It's really a gorgeous movement. And it's an old pocket watch. It's really I don't know, very, very much I appreciate it. And I think that, someone like David who knows what he's doing on this can really find some excellent watches, which is a good tip, I think, for the rest of us watch collectors. Now, finally, this is another watch company. that I like. Christopher Ward. Now, this one is a C60 Trident in bronze. And he said it was sort of a, knee-jerk kind of thing. An English watch company. Again, it's Swiss made. Now, I think they put in Swiss made if the movement is a Swiss made. I think this is an SW200, even though Christopher Ward has a very good movement of their own called an SH21. This one is just they're very reasonably priced and they make very nice watches. And I guess David Solomon said, that's what I want. A couple buys these English watches that are Swiss made. It's a fun thing to do. Finally, David provided something I thought was so cool. What a great idea. In memoriam, and he has his little catchphrase down there because watch collecting is a journey, and that's certainly true. I think those of us who have been doing it for a while certainly know that. And he's got some great memories here with the Blancpain, Nomos, Eterna, another Grand Seiko, Frederick Constant, another Christopher Ward, and then some at the bottom, a Lanco, not a Laco, but a Lanco. I don't know that one that has sort of that surfboard pattern. What some really interesting watches that have been in the past, and I'm very glad and very grateful to David for providing me not only with that, but with the rest of the collection. Well, listen, if I were going to give any advice to David, I think I would say, just collect something I've never heard of before because I really like what you've got here. These are neat watches and a lot of fun to learn about and see, and especially those pocket watches. Anyway, like to hear from you, hear what you have to say, and what you think about Dave's collection. As always, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.